A newborn, fast asleep and swaddled tightly, was discovered on a park bench just before dawn. But something was missing: his mother. The woman who found him had taken her usual route for a morning jog. She nearly ran past the bench until she noticed the bundle, motionless but strangely placed. As she stepped closer, she realized it wasn't a forgotten bag of clothes. It was a baby, alone, quiet, vulnerable. She stopped breathing for a moment. Then she called 911 with trembling hands. The park, normally a peaceful escape tucked in a quiet neighborhood, quickly filled with flashing lights and a growing sense of unease. Who leaves a newborn alone like this? Was it desperation, a mistake, or something worse? The baby was rushed to the hospital. He was healthy, no signs of trauma, no bruises, no birth records, no name. Police canvassed the area, hoping someone had seen something, anything. But there were no witnesses. No security cameras pointed directly at the bench. And the baby had no ID, no note, and no known ties. Hours passed, then days, and as authorities searched for the mother, one haunting question echoed through the town. Who leaves a sleeping newborn behind? And why? The newborn was temporarily named Baby Elijah by hospital staff. Nurses rotated shifts just to hold him. He never cried much, just lay still, blinking wide eyes as if already aware he was alone. Detectives began working backwards. They checked every nearby hospital, birthing center, and clinic. No recent birth records matched. No one had reported a missing baby, and no newborns had been discharged without documentation. But there was one strange detail. The umbilical cord had been cut cleanly, surgically. This wasn't the act of a panicked teen giving birth in secret. Someone with knowledge, maybe even access to medical tools, had delivered him. Investigators began to fear this wasn't just abandonment. It might have been a kidnapping, or something even more sinister. Local news picked up the story. As tips poured in, most led nowhere. One woman claimed she saw a figure at the park the night before, but couldn't describe much beyond female and limping slightly. Another caller, anonymous, left a chilling message. "You're looking for the wrong person. She didn't leave him. She was taken." That changed everything. A task force was formed. They scoured missing persons reports from surrounding counties. And then one name surfaced. Riley Hartman, 24 years old. A barista, 9 months pregnant. She hadn't shown up for her final shift 2 nights earlier. Her phone? Disconnected. Her apartment? Empty but not cleaned out. Her car? Still in the lot. And on her bathroom mirror, written faintly in soap, was a single word. Run. The word run, scrawled across Riley Hartman's mirror, haunted detectives. Who was she running from? Or was it a warning for someone else? Her apartment was a time capsule of a life abruptly interrupted. A diaper bag packed and ready. A hospital bag by the door. A nursery with soft blankets, baby books, and a mobile that still spun in the silence. But no signs of struggle. No broken locks. No blood. Just absence. Detectives questioned neighbors. Some remembered seeing Riley recently with a tall woman wearing scrubs. Someone they assumed was her midwife. But when police contacted her actual midwife, she confirmed she hadn't visited Riley in over a week. Security footage from a nearby pharmacy captured Riley the day she vanished. She bought prenatal vitamins and a bottle of water. As she walked out, a silver SUV pulled alongside the curb. Riley smiled recognition. She got in willingly. That same SUV would appear again, 2 hours later, outside the city, parked for 13 minutes near the very park bench where the baby was found. This wasn't random. The SUV's plates were traced to a rental under a fake name. But a fingerprint lifted from Riley's apartment doorknob matched someone in the system. Ava Dellinger, 39. Former doula. License revoked after allegations of coercion and mental instability. She had once posed as a midwife to gain access to expecting mothers. One case had even gone to trial. She was acquitted but vanished shortly after. Now she was the prime suspect. And Riley? Still missing. By the time Ava Dellinger's name surfaced, the case had already spiraled into national headlines. Baby found, But where's the mother? Now, the spotlight shifted to a woman who had once built trust with expectant mothers, and allegedly broken it in the most chilling way. Investigators uncovered a disturbing pattern. Over a span of 5 years, Ava had inserted herself into the lives of vulnerable women, offering prenatal help, free birth coaching, even rides to appointments. But in 3 known instances, the women reported feeling uneasy after Ava insisted on private sessions, pushing boundaries, and showing up uninvited. None of those women disappeared, but all had stopped contact abruptly. Police now believed Riley may have been groomed. Phone records revealed multiple texts from an unknown number in the days before her disappearance, posing as a hospital intake coordinator. The number was prepaid, untraceable, but its final message was chilling. Your ride is confirmed. We're ready for the induction. Riley, days from her due date, had likely believed she was headed to give birth. Instead, she stepped into Ava's silver SUV. The timeline aligned. More surveillance showed that same SUV pulling into a rundown motel just outside city limits the evening Riley vanished. When police raided the room registered under another alias, they found something horrifying. Blood-stained sheets, used medical gloves, a scalpel, a partially burned birth plan, Riley's name still legible. But no Riley, and Ava was gone. The motel room was silent, but it screamed. Forensics confirmed the blood on the sheets was Riley's. The scalpel had her DNA. The gloves had Ava's, but still no body. No trace of Riley leaving the room alive. A multi-state manhunt for Ava Dellinger launched immediately. Tips poured in. Some claimed to see her in bus terminals. Others swore they saw her disguised as a nurse at a women's shelter. But none led anywhere. Then a break. An anonymous caller reported a woman in surgical scrubs renting a trailer in an abandoned RV park 60 miles west of the motel. Surveillance drones were deployed, and what they saw chilled every agent watching. A makeshift medical setup inside, blood-soaked cloths, and in a corner a duffel bag, stuffed with burned IDs, SIM cards, and photos. Photos of Riley, in various stages of her pregnancy. The trailer was empty, Ava gone again. But she had been there, recently. One investigator later described it as a birthing center from hell. As the search intensified, a grim theory emerged. Ava had been abducting women at full term, delivering the babies herself, then discarding the mothers. But for what purpose? For profit? For her own fantasy? For a hidden client? The FBI now believed Riley wasn't the first, and possibly not the last. That night, Riley's mother made a televised plea. If you're watching this, Ava, or whatever your name is, please, I'm begging you, let us bring my daughter home. I have her baby now. He's alive. He's waiting for his mother. Across the country, hearts broke. And somewhere in the shadows, Ava watched. The motel room was quiet, eerily so, but it reeked of something darker. Detectives swept the space methodically. Blood on the mattress. A surgical scalpel tucked beneath the sink. Latex gloves discarded near the trash. The room hadn't been cleaned, only abandoned in a rush. Riley's blood was confirmed. Her fingernail, broken and bloodied, was found under the nightstand. The baby had been delivered here, but Riley hadn't left with him. That much was now horrifyingly clear. Ava Dellinger, if that was even her real name, had vanished. Within hours, a manhunt was launched across 3 states. Every rest stop, every gas station, every security camera was scrubbed for a woman fitting her description. Tips came in by the dozens, but none held up. Then, something strange. An old farmer on the outskirts of a rural town called in. He said a woman had shown up late one night, asking to rent the shed on his property. Paid in cash. No ID. Said she was a traveling nurse looking for solitude. When the FBI raided the shed 2 days later, they were too late. Inside they found a blood-stained delivery table made from a repurposed workbench. Fragments of burned clothing in a fire barrel. A broken phone, its SIM card removed. And a photo, Polaroid, of Riley, swollen-bellied, wide-eyed, terrified. She was alive when the picture was taken. and taped to the wall above it, chilling in its simplicity, was a note. "You only see what I let you see." That same day, Riley's mother received a text from an unknown number. One sentence. The baby wasn't the only thing she wanted. The phone number pinged for less than 5 minutes, inside a national forest preserve. Search teams were deployed immediately, helicopters sweeping overhead. Dogs picked up a scent trail, but it led to a cliff's edge overlooking a violent river. No footprints, no body, no sign of Ava, just a set of tiny scratch marks on the rocks, like someone tried to claw their way back up. Did Ava jump? Or was someone else there? Or was she watching them from the trees? The case had gone from horrifying to something else entirely. Because now, detectives feared something far worse. Riley might still be alive, but not in captivity. Not dead. She might be helping her. Ask, what really happened? The theory shocked everyone, even law enforcement. Could Riley, the frightened, kidnapped girl, now be complicit? It seemed impossible, but pieces were falling into place, and not how anyone expected. Forensic psychologists were called in to review the case. One expert, Dr. Helen Mears, had studied long-term captivity cases. Her voice was calm but certain. There's a name for this: trauma bonding. Some call it Stockholm Syndrome. It doesn't make sense to the outside world, but inside that world, it can feel like survival. The shed wasn't just a crime scene, it was a transition chamber. What began as a place of terror might have become something else. A place where Riley's will wasn't just broken. It was reshaped. Her photo, terrified at first, wasn't the only one. Authorities found more pictures in a burned envelope retrieved from the fire barrel's ashes. Slowly reconstructed by a forensic team, they showed Riley, over time, healing, holding the baby, even smiling. And then the last photo, the one no one could explain. Riley, hair cut short, dressed like Ava, standing in front of a mirror, looking right at the lens. Behind her, scrawled in lipstick on the mirror, "I'm not her anymore." Meanwhile, Ava, or whoever she was, remained a ghost. But credit card fraud traced to an abandoned identity hinted she might be back in the city where it all started. Detectives moved quickly. Surveillance cameras showed 2 women, one pushing a stroller, the other following closely behind. One of them bore a striking resemblance to Riley. But which one? When police arrived at the scene, both were gone. Only the stroller remained. Inside it, nothing. No baby. Just a folded note. "You failed her once. We won't let you do it again." The case, now spanning nearly a year, has left a trail of shattered theories, broken timelines, and a child still caught in the center of it all. Today, the baby's whereabouts remain unknown. Riley has never been found. The woman known as Ava, still at large. And the investigation, ongoing. But one question still haunts everyone involved. Was Riley a victim who turned, or was she never a victim at all? 3 months after the last known sighting, the case seemed ice cold. But a break came in the most unexpected form. A weathered cloth doll. It was mailed anonymously to the local police department. No return address. No fingerprints. Just the doll. And a note. "She still sleeps with this. You're getting close. Follow the seams." At first glance, it looked like a normal child's toy. Threadbare, missing one button eye. But forensics ran it through scanning equipment and X-ray imaging. And inside the seam, tucked between layers of cotton stuffing, was a tightly folded square of aged paper. It was a hand-drawn map. Not just a crude sketch, this was detailed. Trees marked, a winding path, an X near what looked like a barn. No names, no street signs. But one thing stood out in red ink. R plus A equals home. Law enforcement traced the map to a forgotten property on the outskirts of Montana. Miles from anywhere, off-grid and long abandoned. A single building stood there. A collapsed barn and a root cellar dug deep into the earth. Inside the cellar, they found the remains of what looked like a hideout. Blankets, toys, cans of food. A candle burned low in the corner. And etched into the wall, written over and over in smeared charcoal, "She chose me." She chose me. She chose me. But there was no sign of Riley. No baby. No Ava. Only a name carved into the back of the door, Evie. That name had never appeared in the investigation. It wasn't Riley. It wasn't Ava. It was someone new? Investigators are now asking, was Evie Riley's new identity? Or was Evie the baby? And more chilling still, was this just the beginning of something larger? One of the detectives involved, who has since requested leave, shared this before stepping away. We thought we were searching for 2 missing girls. I think now we were chasing 3. And one of them knew exactly what she was doing. The name Evie became the new center of the investigation. Analysts combed through school records, hospital databases, and birth registries. Nothing. No Evie connected to Riley or Ava. No missing persons report under that name. It was as if Evie had been born and buried within that root cellar. But then came the breakthrough. A child psychologist working with the case suggested something haunting. Sometimes, severely traumatized children will invent personas, not as imaginary friends, but as selves. Parts of them that hold pain so the rest can survive. Investigators returned to the doll. A deeper scan revealed a faint scent embedded in the fabric, traces of 2 distinct perfumes. One floral, one woody. Not uncommon, until a forensic chemist matched the floral scent to an unusual French brand, discontinued decades ago. That perfume had only one known buyer in the entire state. A woman named Delilah Warren, who had died in 2009. Her estate? It included the now abandoned Montana property with the root cellar. Delilah had one foster daughter briefly, before the adoption was terminated due to emotional instability and aggression. That girl's name was Ava Monroe. Yes, Ava. But Ava Monroe wasn't Riley's mother. She was the newborn's kidnapper. Suddenly, everything turned. The woman everyone believed to be a desperate mother was actually a survivor of severe childhood abuse, who had slipped through the cracks, changed her name, and carefully constructed a life that mirrored the one she lost, including a child. Had Ava taken Riley as a way to heal her fractured past? Or was Riley just another piece in Ava's long-planned identity escape? Investigators began reconstructing her years, towns she'd lived in, people she'd interacted with. A former landlord recalled something strange. She had these odd rules: mirrors covered at all times, clocks with no batteries. She said time didn't matter, only memory. And then there were the drawings. Hundreds of them found in a box in Ava's storage unit. Most showed a girl with 2 faces, one smiling, one crying, always holding a baby, always looking into a mirror that reflected nothing. But buried at the bottom of the box was a single drawing labeled Evie's Real Home. It depicted a room with 2 doors, one locked, one open. In the corner, a small figure holding a newborn, and standing behind her, a taller shadow, with no face. Who was Ava really running from? And was she the only one inside that fractured mind? Or merely the loudest voice? The story, it seemed, wasn't just about one missing mother or even a baby. It was about the blurred line between victim and villain, and what trauma can do to a soul trying to survive. And the scariest part? Evie hasn't been found. Not officially, not physically, but somewhere she's still out there. Maybe in another cellar, or maybe in the mind of a child waiting to grow. The news broke before Ava could blink. Someone from her past, someone she had hoped was long gone, had seen her face. Not just on the CCTV footage or from the search flyers that now dotted every intersection, but online, on a viral post asking for the identity of the woman last seen walking away from the baby in the park. They called her the Mother Ghost. A man named Jordan Rains commented, "She looks like Evelyn Stroud. We went to school together. But Evelyn died in a fire 10 years ago. At least that's what they told us." The comment took off, shared thousands of times, and investigators were quick to react. They tracked Jordan down, interviewed him, and pulled up every archived file on Evelyn Stroud, including her official death certificate. But something didn't match. Fingerprints from the woman in custody, who insisted her name was Ava, showed no match to any record in their database. Not Evelyn, not Ava, not anyone. It was as if she were a ghost wearing borrowed skin. Inside the psychiatric facility, Ava, or whoever she was, had started drawing again. Dozens of sheets of paper, scattered with images of children, trees, fire, and a single repeated word, Riley. Each drawing got darker. The once sleeping baby, swaddled and peaceful, began to appear surrounded by flames, then alone in the woods, then with eyes scratched out. Dr. Keller, now deeply invested, brought in a trauma specialist. And finally, after hours of painful therapy and memory regression, something cracked. Ava whispered a name. Not Evelyn. Not Ava. Not Riley. She said, "My name is Claire. Claire Whitmore." The name sent shockwaves through the investigation team. Claire Whitmore had been missing since 2009, reported abducted from a child protective center in Oregon at the age of 12. No trace had ever been found. The twist stunned the nation. If Ava was really Claire, then who was Evelyn? Who was Riley? And whose baby had been found that morning? Wrapped in a stranger's grief. As the camera fades out, we hear Ava, Claire, whispering, "I didn't leave him there to be abandoned. I left him where someone good would find him. Someone better than me." Cut to black. The room was silent, save for the ticking of an old wall clock, every second sounding louder, sharper, as if marking time that had already been stolen. Claire Whitmore sat across from the lead investigator, Agent Dorian Hale, her hands folded like a child waiting to be scolded. But her eyes, they were not the eyes of a girl. They were the eyes of someone who had seen too much. "I didn't kill her," Claire whispered, "but I watched her die." Everyone in the room froze. Claire continued. Her voice trembled but steady. "Evelyn. She was the one who saved me. When we escaped that house, she gave me her name, told me to disappear. She said no one would look for a dead girl." Flashback. A dim, rotting farmhouse. Children locked in makeshift rooms. Evelyn, 17, had planned the escape for months. Claire, only 12, followed her out into the woods, bleeding and barefoot. But only Claire made it to the highway. Evelyn went back to save the others. She never returned. The baby, Riley, was not Evelyn's child, nor Claire's. He was born in a hospital across the state. Abandoned days later, part of a black market adoption scheme Claire accidentally stumbled into while searching for survivors like Evelyn. She took Riley to protect him, but she couldn't raise him. Not after everything. Not while still being chased by shadows. So she swaddled him, kissed his forehead, and left him where she had once been found, a park bench just before dawn. Now, Claire's confession shattered every previous theory. The baby's identity was confirmed through DNA. His birth mother, a trafficking victim, had died in childbirth. Riley had no living relatives. Claire had saved him from disappearing into the same system that had consumed her. Fallout. Public opinion turned. The mother ghost became the girl who lived. Claire was placed in a trauma rehabilitation center, not prison. The child, Riley, was adopted by the same woman who had found him on that bench. The case was officially closed, but not in Claire's mind. 1 year later, a letter arrived at the detective's desk. No return address. Inside, a sketch of 2 young women, Evelyn and Claire, holding hands in front of a burning farmhouse. And one line written beneath, "Some ghosts don't haunt, they protect." For more chilling, emotional true crime tales, both real and fictional, subscribe to the Veil of Secrets and never miss what hides in the shadows.